Halacha Chavdal and Ralph and Gittin. Halacha. Did you find Gittin in there yet? Should be the second to last Masechta. 47. Do you have it? Okay. Somebody who's half slave and half free. He worked for himself for one. This is a very famous Mishnah that appears a couple of times in Shas. So somebody who's half slave and half free. He worships. He serves his master one day. He serves himself the other day. Works for his master one day, works for himself the other day. It's according to Beisol. Beishamai says, that's nice. Tikantem es rabo. He fixed up his master. His master's going to get work out of him. Hatzmo lo tikantem. You didn't fix him up. How so? Liso shivchayna yochol. He can't marry a maid servant because he's half free. Bas chorin and a yochol. He can't marry a free woman because he's half slave. Yochol, maybe you say, well, let him remain celibate. No, the world's created for procreation. Shneimar says, Lo tohu b'ro. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not create the world to be desolate. Lo sheves yitzora, to be populated. He created it. Elivnei tikkun olam. So there, because of tikkun olam, in order to rectify the world, Kovin is Rabbu, we compel the master, also so Ben Chorin, the master, makes him free. The Koitziv Shtar Chatidoma, and the ever writes an IOU on half of his value and gives it to the master. Chozu Beisil, Loris Kedivrei Beishamai. Beisil came around to Pascha Beishamai, so that we compel a release. Okay? No. Either of us a mitzvah not to give a get a release.
So why does like you said yesterday, the hole gets bigger? It gets bigger and bigger.
The whole shiur? Because here there's a definite master. Yeah, it's asking a good question, Romy. Yesterday we said that once the shiur begins, the shiur expands, right? But here meets a barrier which you cannot expand beyond. In other words, yesterday we were dealing with other cases where there was Yeush on the part of the first master, or the second master wasn't really a master, so therefore there's no immovable barrier which shiur meets up with. But here where the master is a definite master, so then shiur cannot penetrate that barrier. It would have to be like a weaker barrier in order to get through. It's a good question, though. I'm not sure if my answer is as good as your question. So in any event, the Gemara says, how do you have such a case of Chatzi Ev and Chatzi Ben Chorin? So it's one of two ways. The Potter either explain it, Oka Rebbe, the Rebbe Omer Odom Shachar Chatzi Abdo. This is not anywhere in the Bavli. But here you have Yerushalmi, which says that a person can release half a slave. Now, the truth is, now I think about that might answer Avrami's question, because we paskin, like the previous sugya, that if you release half the slave, the whole slave is released, right? But Rebbe obviously argues, Rebbe holds that it's possible to release half a slave. It's a very strange thing, because the Chora, again, if either he's a half a Jew or old Jew.
This type of case where then it's not, then your answer before is not even a good answer, because you think it's a definite ego.
That's correct. That's correct. Right. Rebbe argues on what we said before.
So I'm like,
Just like Rebbe, that's one answer. Now look at the second answer. Odibre Akol, the movable force thing works according to the second answer. Odibre, the movable barrier. Odibre Akol could be going like everybody. Be'avichol Shnei Shutim. We're talking about a slave of two partners. Vavan Echomem B'Shuchor Chelko. This is generally the way it's understood in the Bible. Since each guy only owned half the slave to begin with, so therefore, when the one master releases his part, he's released. The slave becomes half released. So that's why I use the immovable barriers for, because here each guy lechatchila only owned half the slave. In the previous Gemara, we talked about where each guy had a shutfus in the entire slave, or some shaykhs in the entire slave. So therefore, once one guy sets in place the shiur for his entirety, so then the other guy's entirety cannot stand in front of that. But here it's talking about where each guy lechatchila only had half the slave. So therefore each guy can only his release only works on half the slave.
You said that maybe this is from like Rebbe.
Yeah.
They usually say how far this person is.
That's what it says. Okay, Rebbe. To say that this Mishnah is like Rebbe. That's what it would mean. Okay? Now, says more again, this is the stuff which is not in the Bible. What if he thought, before we came around to the conclusion that we're going to release him in its entirety, or even after that, before we got a little around to releasing him, if he finds a Mitzvah on his master's day, Shorabo, it belongs to his master. So if he finds his Mitzvah, Matzah Mitzvah B'Yom Shalatzo, he finds a Mitzvah on a day which is his day, Shalatzmo, he gets to keep it. Says Gemara, boo, we don't like that. I understand. Isn't he the next day going to have to give it over to his master? Meaning we have Pritzel Mashkana have a Kanarabo, right? So how can he have one day his Mitzvah goes to himself, and the next, because he's independent, the next day, what, is he going to put in a Swiss bank account? The next day his entire Swiss bank account should refer to his master, because Mashkana have it, Kanarabo, everything master or the Eved requires, the master should then acquire in turn. So it's interesting conundrum here. There's no real reconciliation. The Gemara just leaves it dangling. That why don't we say that whatever he finds today, the next day will belong to his master? Okay, the Gemara doesn't answer the question. I forgot to look up the Ketzois. There is a Ketzois here which is alluded to on the side. But I would say that probably, Enochanami, he gets to keep Swiss bank accounts to deposit whatever he gets on his day. As my master only is like a poyo. A poyo, when he works for an employer, well, on the days he's working for an employer, anything he finds goes to the balabos. But this on the day he's not working for the balabos, the Chori would get to keep it himself. Says more now, an interesting issue. Kidesh isha b'yom shomorei. If he married a woman on the day of his master, ain't choshin kedusha, it's not val kedusha. Yom shalatmo choshin kedusha on the day of on his own day. We assume that it might be a Val Kedusha. Now, the Bible never addresses such an issue. Only the Yerushalmi. So it's an interesting thing. L'maisa, the conventional way of understanding that is to say, if he marries on the day which belongs to his master, he's mamish in heaven on that day. So therefore, he can't contract Kedusha because the Avodim have no Kedusha. On the day which he's his own, he's not in heaven on that day. So therefore, on that day, he can contract Kedusha. But the Chazim Sofer doesn't like that. Chazim Sofer says, really, he should be able to contract Kedushin on his own all the time. Why? Because if he is a Chatzi Ben Chorin, has elements of being a free fellow, so therefore his status should be like a Mamzer. And a Mamzer can't contract Kedushin, right? So yes, it's true, the Kedushin he contracts creates Mamzerus, right? Because when he marries a Jewish woman, what? It's a psul call, like any other psul call. So therefore, you should be able to contract marriages. The marriage should have a defect. So So Chacham Sofer comes up with a technical answer, a cute one though. He says, the truth is he can get married any day. But on his master's day, the reason why he can't get married is because he doesn't own the ring.
Yeah.
Because who owns the ring on his master's day? His master owns the ring, right? So that's why it's not shot that he's barred from getting married any day of the week. It's shot that on master's day, the ring which he wants to use to marry her is not his ring to go and use. But again, that's not the Pashup Shah in the Gemara. Pashup Shah in the Gemara is on the day of his master, he doesn't have a status of a Yid to go and contract the marriage. Okay?
Now, the Mishnah spoke, it was based Shammai that raised that same question. He said that it couldn't be done. Right? So the Gemara is amplifying Beis Shammai?
No, well, the Gemara itself, because ultimately Beis Hillel came around to learn like Beis Shammai. Right, so we are amplifying. It's one of the rare cases in which we will amplify Beis Shammai Shita.
Didn't you say before that he could keep his money on the day? He could keep his money from the day that he's himself.
Right, the Chazim Sofer would not agree with that. Clearly, the Chazim Sofer holds that any money he gets on the day of his man belongs to his master, is not his anymore. But I could fetch out of that.
No, maybe he got the day before.
The alternate day is what he said.
You what?
Yeah, it still won't help for the day of the master.
It still won't, no, but the day of the master should help.
Who says he can't use it?
Whatever.
If he bought the ring yesterday.
He requires something from his
Yeah.
comes the day of the master, he loses his rights.
Yeah, but so that means he can't stash it away in a Swiss bank account. Yeah, but I don't like that. That's why I said before. I'm not so sure, not so happy with that. You're right. That's what Chazim Sofer holds. But I would like to fetch out of that. I would like to say that it depends what he did with the money he found on his own day. If he found money on his own day and put it in his bank account, so then the master doesn't get it the next day. But if he found money and then tried to use it the next day, he didn't stash it away, so then it becomes master's. That's what I want to say. All right, scratch that. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's just assume that the Chazim Sofer is correct, that whatever he finds his own day, the next day goes to his master.
It's only logical to do that. Doesn't mean the act of the Kinyan means what he possesses.
Whatever he possesses, not the Maisik. It's not like Magbiyah Mitzil Chaveru. Okay, you guys are right, I'm wrong. It happens. Says more further. V'lokin amar Rabbi Chia b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. Says more. Didn't Rabbi Chia say name Rabbi Yochanan? B'shechetzi v'chetzi ben chorin kidei shisha ein chashishim l'kiddushin. We're not. It's not considered to be a valid kiddushin. So how can you say that on his own day we're chashish l'kiddushin? It sounds like it's not kiddushin at all. In other words, even though he's chetzi ben chorin, he's not yet shy to the parsha of kiddushin. And the Gemara doesn't really answer the question. The Gemara just leaves that dangling. And then where it says the Kavasa, you should know Giresh and Choshim Legerushin. What about if he's Megarish? Similarly, if he's Megarish, his Gerush is not valid Gerushin. So the Imei Baruch says, isn't that obvious? If he doesn't get married, he doesn't have divorce, right? It's bullshit, right? But I think I'm not sure, the Gemara might be out of order here, because obviously we asked the kasha for him named Rabbi Yochanan, who says he has no kiddushin. But beforehand we had proposed that maybe he has kiddushin on the day, which is his day, right? So maybe that which it says that he has no gerushin, that means that even if he was mekadosh on his own day, he still has no right to make a gerushin. Because a gerushin must be made by a full Jew, and he can't make a gerushin. In other words, let me see if I can define a little bit better. A kiddushin on his own day, perhaps the Gemara is going back on the opinion which holds that he can contract kiddushin on his own day. And according to the opinion that he can contract kiddushin on his own day, the shaila is, can he be megarish? And the answer is no, he can't be Megarish. Why can't he be Megarish? Because although Kiddushin on the day when he owns stuff, according to the Chazam Sofer, he can contract, but Gerushin is a different ballgame. Gerushin means a person who is... I think I'm about to say something which is baloney again. Better to leave it schwer. Let's just leave it difficult. Let's leave it Baruch question stand. We don't know what the Baruch asks. Is it a pasha and the chord is pasha? If his kedusha doesn't work, certainly his gerushin doesn't work.
About if he gets married, he can't be his wife on his master's day because he doesn't have.
You see, but that's the Chazam Sofer's point. Chazam Sofer's point is that he won't countenance that, because he's going to say whatever status he has that status on all days of the week.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, there's actually a very good big day sheish on the topic, but big day sheish is my sefer about Basra. But I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it not tonight. But there is. It depends how you look at the guy who's the chatzi ben chorn. Is he like split in two, like schizophrenic, or is he like one new type of creature, like a mule, which is like a half horse and half donkey? So Chazam Sofer is obviously learning that he's not one half and half, but rather he's like a new concept, a new creature, like a mule. So therefore the Chazam Sofer says whatever his personal status is going to be his personal status every day of the week. The only question is whether he has the money to affect Kedushin or doesn't have the money to affect Kedushin. That's how the Chazam Sofer is learning. You're right, one can learn the Gemara differently. We learn the Gemara Kipshuto that he's taka schizophrenic. One day he's a Jew, one day he's not a Jew. And taka, according to the Chazam Sofer, he can either live with his wife all the time or never. According to wherever the conventional way of understanding the Gemara, yes. L'maisa, we compel him to divorce her. So that means obviously we hold that he can't. I mean, we compel the master to release him. We compel the master to release him.
Which is the last line of the Mishnah.
Right. So Lamai said this doesn't come up because Beis Hillel concedes a Beis Shammai. Now it says a more fascinating actually conclusion of this Gemara. It's very different than when the Suya pops up in the Bavli. Tom and we learned over there, ain't nosim noshim emoid. You can't get married at Chol Moed. You're not expecting to remember why, but we learned. Shema bar Bo'aba, Shem B'yochon say B'shum Bittul P'nei Rivya. Because if people get married at Chol Moed, everybody push off their wedding to Chol Moed, because it's time when you're off from work anyway. So therefore, nobody will get married the rest of the year. And the people wouldn't be engaged in procreation because they'd always wait till Chol Moed to get married. Anybody remember such a svara? They had it in Moed Cotton. Yeah. That's what you thought. The Yerushalmi is different. The two, I think both reasons are given the Bavli as well. What?
It's not just my own fault.
No, the Bavli does bring down a Marvin Simcha b'Simcha. But the Yerushalmi brings down this reason. I think the Bavli also brings down this reason. Look on the side here, it cites the Bavli. In any event, so says the Gemara, Bo Kubir Rabbi Yossi. So they ask the question, Evan Maushi Yisrael Moed. If you hold this Chati Evan Chati Min Chorin, can you get married? Can you get married in Chol Moed? What's the Shaila? So he said, Nishmini Min Adol. Let's hear it. Livatel. It says, should he desist from procreating? He's gross care for period review. Shim Barabba said, anybody's commanded period review. Also, so Yishmoid is not allowed to get married on Chol Moed. So therefore, an Eved is not allowed to get married on Chol Moed either. Now this is mamish not like the Bavli, because the Bavli holds the reason why the Mishnah brought down the pasuk of Lo Toh B'Ra Lo Sheves Yitzhara is because an Eved is not commanded on Puravu, and an Eved is commanded only on Sheves, which is a lower level. Just like a woman is not commanded Puravu. Woman is only commanded on Sheves, to populate the world, which is a lower level.
You see, the reason is because I don't think this.
What? No. The Yerushalmi is consistent. So the Yerushalmi says an Evet is Mitzvah and Puravu, and it takes the pasuk brought down as not distinct from Puravu, and therefore it asks the Chatzi Evet Chatzi Ben Chorin for getting married Chol Moed.
The Bible says says that yes.
The Bible says never not mitzvah approval. The Chatzi have a Chatzi ben Chorin. It's a long place, a very long place, which appears in the Sugya, where it appears in Bava Basra and again a couple of times. So if he discussed at great length the difference between mitzvah Shevis and mitzvah Puravu. That Shevis is a lower type of mitzvah than Puravu, and women have Shevis, they don't have Puravu. So the Yerushalmi is not showing any distinction. It's important also to note one more thing, which is, I would have said that in Chol HaMoed, he's off from work, right? So he should be able to get married, and on all days of Chol HaMoed, he's like a Yisrael. So maybe you would say, but that's not what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying, Avada, whatever status says, Chatzi ben Chorin, still applies during Chol HaMoed, but since he's Mitzvah and Puravu, so therefore he's not getting married in Chol HaMoed, we make him get married one of the other days of the year. Why now did you ask permission? You asked your permission to ask a question. Yes.
The reason is
then that would apply to an Eved too. But that's not, it's not. Yeah, okay. He said he has no Gerushin. So now he's going to have Gerushin. But anyway, yes, theoretically, we could discuss those chilukim. Okay. Somebody who sells his Eved to a guy, or l'chutz la'aretz, or he sells him l'chutz la'aretz, yotz l'cheres, yotz l'mechorin, the Eved goes free. Any point Mr. Shvin Yisrael domain, you cannot redeem captives for more than they cost, more than they're worth, I should say. B'nei tikkun olam, because of tikkun olam. Ein mavrichim es hashvuim b'nei tikkun olam. One cannot cause captives to flee. It's interesting thing. You don't help captives to escape from their captors. B'nei tikkun olam, because of tikkun olam. Because next time, instead of taking captives, they're just going to kill them. Right? Rabbi Shimon Gamliel B'nei takon shvuim. What's the fascinating difference? Shimon Gamliel says, no, it's only if there are other captives can you not make others flee. You can't allow part to escape lest they take retribution on the other captives. But if there are no other captives in this camp at this time, you don't have to worry about tikkun olam in the future. So if there are other shvuyim here at this point in time now, and you don't have to worry about the future, what's going to happen next time around. Okay? Now, of course, talking about shvuyim where they're there's no immediate pikuach nefesh, obviously, because they're being held for ransom. If there was immediate pikuach nefesh, of course, you would save whoever you could, whenever you could. Okay? So, anyway, similarly, if a goy has to svarim tulam zulus, if you don't buy him for more than worth, and they take all of them because who knows, next time he'll steal, he's going to start stealing in order to make money off tefillin. Okay, l'goy, I feel Eretz Yisrael. If you sell an Eved to a goy, even in Eretz Yisrael, he goes free. Now let's cut and paste a little bit. Take the middle four words in the next line and put them here. Over chutz la'aretz, I feel Eretz Yisrael. If you sell an Eved to chutz la'aretz, even selling to a Jew in chutz la'aretz, he goes free. Mi meshacharo, going back to the beginning of the previous line, who releases the slave? Rabba Rishon Nosein Domav, the first master who owned him in Eretz Yisrael pays the money. Vasheni, the second master who bought him in chutz la'aretz, releases him. Says the Neymar. Let us say, however, Im Yoda Rabbo Sheni, if the second master knew the halacha, right? He knew that he was supposed to. He knew that he was not supposed to buy an Eved being sold to chutz la'aretz. So then Shneim Dosedom of each one lose half the money. We find both of them, the one who sold and the one who bought. V'im lav, and if the second master did not know what he was doing wrong, Harisho knows his dom of the first guy pays because he did the avla. V'asheni meshachro, and the second guy releases it. Now I need plenty by plenty. If a guy writes a document, I so and so, son of so and so, moicher savdi, I'm selling my slave, plenty, so and so to anti yoichi, which the chutzat yotzel cheres never goes free. Mishu belul lo yotzel cheres. Now, I don't like what the Korbanei Pnei Moshe say about this, so I'm going to offer you my two interpretations of this line myself. One interpretation of it is that it ain't over till it's over. In other words, Lud is the boundary of Eretz Yisrael. So as long as he's in Lud, he doesn't go free. Because maybe the guy will do tshuva and take the Eved back. But the moment he goes past Lud, then the Eved goes free, because that's already going outside of Eretz Yisrael. But I don't like that, because it sounds like that sounds like from here that the moment you write the documents on your Eved to Chutz La'aretz, he goes free. So I have an alternate shot, which is not much better, but is a little bit better, which is that it means that if the Eved originally lived in Lud, Lud is on the border. So there's not much difference between Lud, the border town, and Chutz La'aretz. So if you lived in Lud with your Eved and you saw him to Chutz La'aretz, he doesn't go free. Because he already had all the chesronis of Chutz La'aretz in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, he doesn't go free just because you saw him to Chutz La'aretz mamish. Okay? What? If you sell him to a Jew outside of Eretz Yisrael? Yeah, it includes Jews. So, okay? So in any event, those are my two pshatim in that line. Tani, we learned. It should be Yotza, past tense. Yotza Eved Rabba b'Chutz La'aretz. If an Eved went out willfully with his master Chutz La'aretz, Lefichach, in that case, Vil usually means something else, therefore it here means in that case, in Mechor L'Sham Macher. In other words, the Eved can't say, whoops, I left with my master Chutz La'aretz, but I really didn't mean to. Once you agree to leave with him, so therefore you're stuck being an Abdus. Okay, you have to make a mechad before he takes you out. If he comes from Chutz La'aretz with the intent to go back, right? It should be ein kofino. So you came from Chutz La'aretz to Yisrael with the intent to go back to Chutz La'aretz. It should be ein kofino. So Karbanei changed it l'mocher lachzor. Even the next day, let's say he came from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael with his master, so quickly down to the Kaisel and go back, right? He can say, I changed my mind. I love Israel. I want to stay. And his Eved and his master's got to release him. Why? Because he's in Eretz Yisrael. So even if they're about to go back the next day, he's got to release him. And of course, it goes without saying. What? No. Even if his master brought him up on a visit, he can demand the right to stay in Eretz Yisrael to be released a free man. Okay? And Al-Manash Lol, of course, goes without saying, if they took him out to Eretz Yisrael, the intent never to go back, and themselves there never to go back to Chutz La'aretz. Baruch mi Chutz La'aretz, what if he fled from Chutz La'aretz? Should be to La'aretz, to Eretz Yisrael. So, Rashailach 0. You're allowed to take him back. So, you're allowed to take him back. Let's see, let me check if I'm right about that. Yeah, you can take him back to Chutz La'aretz. Whereas if he fled from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael, you never gave him permission to come up, even temporarily, so then you take him back. Baruch mi'aretz to Chutz La'aretz. When he fled from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz, Rabbi Yoshim Shem Rabbi Chia Barabba Amar, he said, Mutar, now here there's thrown the words, L'mochro l'sham. Even though normally you're not allowed to sell your Eved in Chutz La'aretz, but if your Eved ran from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz, and now it's Chutz La'aretz, you could sell him there, because he brought it upon himself, right? Rabbi Yeshua Rabbi Amar Mutar, Rabbi Yeshua Rabbi the Great also says it's permissible to sell him Chutz La'aretz. Rabbi Marinos prayed Rabbi Yeshua Rabbi Amar also. Rabbi Marinos, however, Rabbi Yosha's son said it's also. Rabbi Yeshua said no, low plea, they don't argue. Man Ramutar, he says you're allowed to sell him Chutz La'aretz, Beloma Livrach L'Sham, where he's always running to Chutz La'aretz. So you give up. You want to be in Chutz La'aretz, you sell him to somebody in Chutz La'aretz. Man Amar also, somebody says, also sell the Chutz La'aretz, B'She'en Loma Livrach L'Sham. He flees. The seven runs away, but he doesn't usually run to Chutz La'aretz. So now he ran to Chutz La'aretz on a one-shot deal that's not enough of a reason to sell him to Chutz La'aretz. Amazing Gemara. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef said, below Pligan, another interpretation. They don't argue. Ma'adamar Mutzer, he says that it should be reversing the next line, this line, where you can't get it back from there. Ma'adamar also, he said it's also some Chutz, it should be where you can bring it back from there. Okay, drop the first two letters of the next word. It should be Tani. We learned, Im Hisnaimo Mutter. In other words, when you bought the Eved, it's a fascinating Gemara. You went to the Eved on a slate block. You said, listen,
Why is he bringing wines?
whatever his name is, to Eved, Christopher, I'm buying you as a slave, right? I'm making a condition with you. Now, whenever I want to sell you the Chutz La'aretz, I can sell you the Chutz La'aretz. Negotiate with the slave himself. So that's okay. Can make such a tonight. And then later on, Christopher can come and say, I want to live in Eretz Yisrael. Say, deal's a deal. I bought you all tonight, so therefore I can give you back. I can sell you back the Chutz La'aretz. Now, Ad Kedun, Bigdoyim. Okay, that makes sense. When you bought the everyone, he's a Gadol. But so you can make the tonight with him. But B'Ktanim, what about by when you're buying kids? Nickname Rabbo. You can make the deal with their master with whom you're buying him. Akadum Shir Rabbo Yisrael. That makes sense where the master when you're buying is a Jew. Higher Rabbo Goy, what if the master when you're buying is a Goy? Same thing. Rabbi Tavla Zavin Avdei. Rabbi Tavla bought a slave. Umasi Rabbo made a condition with the master, even though the master was a Goy. Because the Goyim own other Goyim, and therefore they can make deals of this sort. Rabbi Yitzchak Davon, Rabbi Yitzchak Davon, that was his name. Avon Avdei, he said, had a slave. Arkin Libnoson, so went to some outlying villagers. Now, he lived in Eretz Yisrael, right? He lived, I guess, in Chutz La'aretz, actually. Lived in Chutz La'aretz. So it went to one of the villagers around it. What? The master, Rabbi Yitzchak Davon. So he lived in Chutz La'aretz. So his Ebed fled. So he went to ask Rabbi Yami what should do. Rabbi Yami Baskin. Oyne, if the Ebed fled to Oyne, also you can't take it back because that's Eretz Yisrael. If he fled to Antris, you're allowed to take him back Shari, that's Bristol because that's outside Eretz Yisrael. Parchurim, if he fled to a place named Parchurim Tzricha, I don't know, Teku. I don't know if you can take him back or not. By the way, the Pnei Moshe is totally different shot, but it's a very wild shot. I'm not going to learn that way. I'm saying Rabbi Abba Barado, this was similarly the mater Rabbi Abba Barabo, Arkas Kilusaya. She fled to a district called Kilusaya. Asked the Shorai money, came and asked Rabbi Mora for a lake Rabbi Yami. It's about the same way as Rabbi Yami. I guess Kilusaya and it was somewhere near the Bno Son we mentioned before. So anyway, he said, Oni Osir, Antira Shari, Apurchis, Tzrich, I don't know. Period. Getting back to the Mishnah. You don't redeem slaves for captives for more than the word Tikkun Olam because they want to rectify the world. And we don't cause Shvuyim to flee, to escape their captors because of Tikkun Olam. Now here the Shari Teretz brings down the name of Rashba Girsa, the Lo Ligare Shvuyu Maise. They're not going to, in order that they shouldn't start attacking the other captives, we're then going to die. Rabbi Shin Gamliel I'm sorry, no, that's not right. In order that they shouldn't go and get new Shvuim to take the place of those who were there in captivity. So that's in Tikkun Olam, because in the future they might come take other captives to replace those who you freed. Now, the aim of Roshinu Milmer Neitakonas Shvuim for the rectification of other captives, that the other one should not be tied up, meaning that they shouldn't be tortured and chained. So in other words, you can't make part of the Shvuyim flee if the other ones are going to be stuck behind. Okay? Tani, we learn, Goy Meicher Sforim Tzilim Mezuzos. If a guy is selling Sefer Torah Tzilim Mezuzos, also you can't come now to buy from him because they're afraid they're not written Lishma. We simply don't know if they're written Lishma. What time did we learn? Maisa Begoy Echa Betzinon Sher Meicher Tzilim Mezuzos who bought Maisa Neir Chomim. As the guy was selling and came in front of Chomim, for him they said, Mutli Kach Ben allowed to buy from him. So Shua Bar Nazar Shem Chanina said it should be actually Begir, Shechaz the Suravo. They knew the Ketun was written Lishma because it was written by him or written for him when he was still a Ger. Nevach, now he became a Goy again. But he used to be a Ger, so therefore we're allowed to buy from him. Yes. So what? He didn't ask our permission. He just went to truck. I once was, years ago when I was in high school, my father took me, he was in the Judaica business, and he took me to a Reform Rabbinical Convention. And we met there, a guy said, one of the Reform rabbis said, I'm a Baal Tshuva. I learned Torah V'das, I burnt my talis, burnt my tefillin, That's how I did my tshuva. So, what? Yes. So it's the same thing. I don't know if he burnt it, threw it out, whatever he said. So the fact that he could come to me and say that was an amazing thing. But in any event, so that's the same idea here. This guy didn't ask any questions, just that this guy is going to become a guy again. Because they're afraid not in Lishma. What?
Somebody called us right now. In case the spirit's gone. I mean, I read lots of books.
They're what?
Pieces of, like you start on the phone.
They're what?
Find it in the garbage.
Yeah.
Takes it. And he
Right, so you can't pay more than it's worth in order to buy it. Because they're afraid they're going to go and steal from the future. But Stama, though, you can't buy anyway from them to use because they're afraid it wasn't written Lishma. The two different issues here. The writing Lishma and the fact that they're going to go steal.
Rabbeinu Gershon was in prison. Rabbeinu Gershon cited this mission why he could not be released.
Not Rabbeinu Gershon. Rameir Rutenberg.
What?
Rameir Rutenberg. Yeah. Because they wanted more money for him than he felt he was worth.
An enormous amount of money from the community.
Yeah.
He said the community cannot pay this kind of money, so the language in jail for 10, 20
Yeah, until after he died. Even the corpse they didn't redeem for a long time. Yeah. That's right. Okay, Aloha Zayin. Hamotzi Tishtan, this is a Mishnah which we've had already elsewhere in Shas, so they should go quickly. Hamotzi Tishtan Mishum Shem Ra. What am I supposed to do with these cups? Hamotzi Tishtan Mishum Shem Ra. Are you enjoying the shiur very much, Nasana? That's good. Hamotzi Tishtan Mishum Shem Ra. Mishum Shem Ra. So the divorce is why? Because there were bad rumors about her conduct. Lo yachs, you can never take her back. Mishum neder, if you divorce because she took a neder, which she found particularly onerous. Lo yachs, which she found particularly onerous. Lo yachs, you can't take her back. Any neder which the masses knew about, lo yachs, you may not take her back. If the masses did not know about it, yachs, you can take her back. Right? Meir says. So the Gemara is going to explain most of the stuff. And Meir kol neder shutzar chakiras chacham. Any neder which requires a chacham to be matirit lo yachzir may not take her back. Tapachot pay it out. No. B'shein tzar chakiras chacham. Look, b'shein tzar chakiras chacham. When chacham doesn't, the only the chacham he himself can be made for it. You weren't with us in the Dorim, were you? He himself, the husband, can be made for it. So yachzir, since he can annul it, he can take her back. Rebbe Lezer said no, they're both also. Well, Suzel said he only asked her to take her back in one case because of the other case. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda said, "Ma'aseh b'tzina be'echad she'amar le'ishto." There's a guy in Tzina who said to his wife, "Konim shani megar shecha." He said, "I may owe my private bill if I don't divorce you." So the letter was on him. B'gir shah. He divorced her. Let him take her back. In order to rectify the world. Now I'm going to explain all these things. The time we learned in a brayso, say so I mean divorce the wife because there are bad rumors about her, loose behavior, should not take her back. Because let's say you divorce your wife because of rumors. And then she goes to marry somebody else, Lach or somebody else. The other men are bonim, and she has kids from the other husband. Lachar's man nimtzu advarim badoim, and eventually he finds out that the rumors were not true. Amar, the first one says, "Oh, the yesi adeyash advarim badoim, right to have known that the rumors were unfounded." If a person would pay me $100 to divorce my wife, actually $1,000, I would never have divorced her. Maybe for more, but not for that. So therefore what's going to happen is he's going to say that the get was given under false pretenses. and therefore it's going to say it's going to come out that the kids from the second marriage of this wife are mamzer. So therefore we said, you know what, Mr. So-and-so, if you divorce her because of rumors, you can never take her back. And once, since he knows that when he divorces her, she is forbidden for him to forever, so make sure to check it out before he divorces her and either give a completely valid get or reconcile with her. And that will prevent all sorts of the rumors of mamzeris arising later on. What? Tonight can't be written in the get, but you can give a get out tonight. We don't write the sign to get, we said, but you can give a get out tonight. We said that.
It's not our fault that he is.
We want to prevent that. We know it's not his fault or our fault, but we want to make sure that he doesn't spread rumors that the kids from this, that one's dirty, don't put it together, that the kids from the second marriage are mamzerim. We want to prevent those all sorts of problems later on the line for their shidduchim. So that similarly, Tanya, we learn why this emotzi's ishlam shum neder. Somebody divorced a wife because of a neder she took. Lo yachzer may not take her back. Sharei emotzi's ishlam shum neder, because you divorce your wife because of a neder. V'ochem nisis lachon, she goes to marry somebody else. V'yol the menu, and she gives birth from the second guy. Nimsa neder batel, and then the neder is canceled. Amar is then it's going to say, oh, neder batel, right, to know that the neder was null and void. So then Ilu Amar was able to be voided. If a person will give me $100,000 to divorce my wife, Magarsha would now divorce her. Him still got battles, then it will come out that the first get, he's going to spread rumors that the first get was null and void. But Bob Mamzer, and the kids are Mamzerim for the second husband. When we told Magarsha, this way they knows that once he divorces her, she may not go back to him. Afu knows him, look at Mishal, he gives her a complete get, Mishal from the get-go. I'm Rabbi Zira. Rabbi Zira gives the reason Rabban who argue. Rabban, of course, say that even if he took she took a neder and he divorced because of that neder, he'd still take her back. You know why? He was just looking for an excuse to divorce her, and everybody knows that, and therefore it wasn't that it was under false pretenses. Sharei neder. Because we're talking about a neder, according to Rabbanan, if it's a neder which even he himself could have been made for, so every husband knows he can annul the wife's vows, if they're inui nefesh, if they're beino lebeino, if they have to do with her affliction, they have to do with marriage between the two of them. So therefore, in that case, Chacham say he could take her back. Because he would never claim, I didn't know. Because everybody knows they can be made for his wife's daughter. So in that case, if he wants to take her back later on, he's allowed to do so. Similarly, Rabbi Zira said, you should, in the case where not everybody knew about the neder, so if he divorces her, we know he divorced her because of just an excuse. Sharei neder Rabbi Moya, because that which not the mass don't know about, neder which the mass knew about, so then he can claim later on that he thought that it could not be annulled. But everybody knows that an neder which is taken in private can be annulled. So therefore, he can't claim that he didn't know, that he was ignorant, because, and we say to him, no, Lamaisi divorced because you wanted to. Logically, think they shall feel neder shutzar chakiras chacham, a neder which requires the chacham to be matir yachzir. He should take her back. It's a fascinating Gemara. Sha'azokin okes a neder meikoro. A zokin uproots the neder altogether. So therefore, since the zokin uproots the neder, he holds a different reason. Chormeir says that really Rabbi Lezer holds the reason why he should divorce her once she takes a neder is because we want to make sure b'nois Yisrael not putzim b'nedavim. So therefore, if she makes a neder and divorces her because of that, she should never take her back. So he says, really, if it's chakir, nether which is shaykh to chakiras chacham, yachzir, you should take her back. Why is that? Because the Pritzes Nedorim doesn't have such terrible ramifications in that case. Sha'azokin, oikas, and then meikor, because in Zokin we know, can uproot a nether retroactively altogether. So therefore such a nether doesn't bear such iniquity. However, Nema also neder should be sorry chakiras chacham. Why they ask even that it requires chakiras chacham because that she can't go back to her husband. The neder should be she'ain tzor chakiras chacham because of a neder which he himself is made for. Because if he himself is made for the neder, hafora the Yerushalmi holds works. Mikano lahaba, not lamafreya. Works from the time that far, and that's why she needs kapara for any aveir she committed between the time she took the neder and the time of the afara. So therefore, in that case, we really want to find them that B'nos Yisrael should not be prutzim in the darim. So since in that case we want to find them that shouldn't be prutzim in the darim, that if he divorces her, he can never take her back. So because of Gzeira, even neder which has chakiras chacham, where it's retroactively annulled, and therefore never really took effect. And therefore has no iniquity attached to it. Even there we said, once you divorce her, you may not take her back. Okay? Next Mishnah. You divorced her because she was barren. Barren. Couldn't give birth. Right? She was sterile. You may not take her back. Say you can take her back. This is she married a second guy. She had kids. Whoops. Wasn't an islandess. Right? So then she comes back to the first husband. First husband, if you divorce an islandess, divorce her without giving her a ksuva. Now she says, give me a ksuva. Because I'm not an islandess. It was your problem you didn't have kids. So Rabbi says, her first husband says, it's better for you to keep quiet than speak up. Because if you speak up and you claim you weren't the islandess, so then I'm going to say my get was a mistake. Because I only gave you get because I thought it was an islandess. And then it's going to come out that you were really my wife and you were nation siege and you're marrying the second guy was caused mamzerus. So therefore, if you want me to hush things up, you better stop demanding your ksuba. Okay? It says more, and that's we learn this in Gemara. Why it say if a guy divorced wife because she's an islandess, well, you obviously may not take her back. Because if somebody divorced the wife because of islandess, and she went to marry somebody else, behold him at a banim, and had kids from her, he said, the first husband will say, right to have known that my wife could give birth, even if somebody give me $1,000 for her wife, would not have divorced her. Right? The kid comes out to be no boy, the kid comes out to be a mamzer. However, this time, since he knows she's mugarsha, that if he divorces her, he be a surah, she can't go back to him. Afu knows he'll get shown, he gives a complete get from the get-go. Rabbi Zira said, you should, now Rabbi Zira again argues. Rabbi Zira is explaining the reason, or rather explain the reason the Rabbanan say, even if you divorce her because of islandess, you can take her back. Why is that? Because he knew that she was an island. The fact that he's islandess was not the sole cause for a divorce. Shreikama noshim nesuin islandess. There are many women who are married who are islandess. But love conquers all, and their husbands stay married to them, especially in the days when they could have other wives. So therefore, and then certainly love can conquer all. So therefore, if he divorced her, he obviously divorced her for other reasons. So therefore, we don't say that he has this excuse, it was only because of islandess, and therefore you can claim mamzeres afterwards. So therefore, if he does divorce her, he can take her back. Right, it's contrary to the Gemara, right. But he could marry another woman in that case. So maybe say that case he married somebody else. Anyway, if you don't marry lo yachzir, vat omer kain. Now this is going on the Sefer. The Sefer says that he says to her, you better be quiet and don't demand your ksuba. Right? So it says more, why? He can't take her back anyway. So since he can't take her back anyway, so therefore he should pay out the ksuba, right? So you can't say, you better be quiet, otherwise I'll say the get was a mistake. No, Chum said you can't say the get was a mistake. So there's more Rabbi Yehuda said, let's kind of Rabbi Yehuda said it's the takona, you can never take her back, so of course you should be at the ksuva when it turns out she's not an islandess. Hi, it was a mistake, tough luck. Takona the Rabbi, you can't take her back, so you can't be motzi laz on the get. Can't say the get was no good. So therefore, and in the Sefer it says that he tells you better keep quiet. The Tani came, we learned the Bryce and Mishum Rabbi Meir. Or Emelesh to go say Yafin Diburak. It's only Rabbi Meir holds that way, not Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Tako, let's give her the ksuva, now she's not islandess. Rabbi Meir is the one who says he doesn't have to give her the ksuva because he could claim, you better be quiet, otherwise I'll start saying all sorts of nasty things about the get. Okay, halachates. You sell yourself and your children to goyim as servants. Ain't putting him so we don't redeem you. You could rot. But after father dies, we redeem his kids. Not true life because we're afraid he's going to sell them again. But after he dies, we can redeem his kids. Somebody sells his field to a guy, and a guy, the Jew goes and buys it. Now it sounds like it, but the Gemara is going to amend that. The Jew buys it, maybe Bikurim brings Bikurim from the field, and they take home because of the rectification rule. Of course, one's going to ask, why does the Chaim Bikurim belong to a guy? Or what? I'm sorry, the opposite. It's Pashut Chaim Bikurim because now it belongs to a Jew. Okay, Masni, so our mission is B'Shemachatz Ma'ushana, he keeps on selling himself to going. We don't, the second time around, we don't redeem him. But if he was hard up and he sold himself one time, podium or so, then we redeem him. However, and I don't remember this from the Bible either, if he sold himself to cannibals, so even one time we don't redeem him. Now I'm not sure where we are redeeming if he sold himself to cannibals. He's eaten, right? But I guess. Yeah.
Maybe they don't want you to take a chance.
Yeah, but it's brought down also then the Sipnei Moshe. Ludim are known to be, I forget, it's also in the Bavli. They're the EP cannibals. So I guess because he was willing to sell himself to such Rishoyim. Obviously he wasn't selling himself as food. He wasn't selling himself per pound. So therefore I guess he's willing to sell himself to serve such Rishoyim, so therefore we don't redeem him.
We should try to redeem as soon as possible.
Before he gets eaten, right? We're assuming he didn't sell himself to be the main course. He sold himself to be the waiter, I guess. In any event, says the one Ludim is a guy who sold himself to Ludim. Asuf the Kumravo case came for Avo. He said the Spindel principle is at work here. He sold himself to the cannibals because he had to make a living. Right? It's a living. So therefore, we have to have Rachmanis on him, and we have to redeem him, even if he sold himself to be a waiter in Casa Canabal. Okay.
At least the first time.
The first time, yeah. Says the Masniso arm. Getting back to the next part of my Mishnah, the Bikur Mishnah. Masisa our Mishnah should be the low cry Meir, it's not cry Meir. Meir says, "Enkin la'akum be'eretz Yisrael pochim min ha'maisrus." Of course, it's Chaim Bikurim, not just because of Tikkun Olam. If a guy buys field in Eretz Yisrael, so it's still Chayiv and Meiser. So too, it's still Chayiv and Bikurim. There's no Tikkun Olam here, right? So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, our Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, I'm going to say, Yesh Kinin L'Akum Be'eretz Yisrael, Goy has Kinin Eretz Yisrael, Fochim Meiser to exempt the land from Meiser. Rabbi Yam, Rabbi Shlokish said, time Rabbi Meir, what's the reason Rabbi Meir? It's not in the Bible as far as I recall. This time about avodim. Normally we're makish avodim lekarkos, but here we're makish karkos to avodim. It says, bequeath your slaves to your children after you, as an inheritance. So slaves are like an inheritance, meaning a land ownership. Just like slaves, you can buy slaves from goyim. but goyim can't buy slaves from you. If they do, it doesn't take effect. Avachuza, so too portions in Eretz Yisrael at them koinim mehem, you buy from them. Vehem ain't koinim mekem, and they don't buy from you. Okay. Amar Lezer Rabbi Yossi, Kul Rabbi Yossi. Lezer said to send for Yossi. V'ha Messiah Amer. He's a right for Amer. V'ha Loti Mochelitz Misus. Says the land may not be sold for permanence. L'chul tanus. Chalut l'chalutin means for permanence. So we see land can't be sold by to the goyim, right? For permanence. Neither does the Gemara. Says the Gemara, 1 second. They said, Adarab, on the contrary, Kol Garma Amros, the Torah Pasuk says, the Messiah of Shimon, it's right for Shimon that a goy can buy land there to Yisrael in order to exempt it from Trumas and Maisus. Because it says, Lo timacher, because what's the Torah saying? The Torah is saying, don't sell it. What does it mean, don't sell it? If it is sold, then it's going to belong to the goy. So there's a right to Rabbi Shimon. It doesn't say that if you sell the sales null and void. It says don't sell it. What does that mean, don't sell it? It must be that if you do sell it, it taka becomes, and the mice we pass on this nowadays, at least it's a big machlokas between the Yerushalmis and the Bnei Brakers. And the Yerushalayim, the minhag is that any produce grown in Arab land, Arab-owned land, during Shemitah has no Kedusha Shvius. In Bnei Brak, they pass it, it does have Kedusha Shvius. I don't remember the details of Machloikas, but the Bnei Chazon Ish held it does, but in Yerushalayim, the minhag was all the years that it does not. So that's one of those things which we have, a minhag was always being made, that gets, at least Bisman as Shemitah's Rabbanon, that so that Goyish land does not have Kenyan. We have that, because there's no Yovel. We had a couple of days ago. Okay. You want to do the Shema? Vada? You want the Shemitah's coming up? Right? Says more further. So a nice firm fellow? Okay. Remember my line about the Jim and Netanyahu. Never forget that line. Okay. Not now. Not now. After the shiur. I don't want to take. Dr. Svidon remembers. Says more. Rabbi Yeruna de Tzipori Omar. Rabbi Yeruna of Tzipori said, Hinig. Rabbi,
because I've never seen Rabbi Huna.
Yeah, it's probably Rabbi Chuna actually. It's Rabbi Chuna. Usually in the Yerushalmi it's Chuna. Rabbi Chuna did Tzipora Amar Hinig. Rabbi Chanina but Tzipora. Rabbi Chanina conducted himself Tziporin. Keldod Rabbi Shimon like Rabbi Shimon. That Yesh Kini Lakum Lafkia. Right. So it says the Gemara. Now we have to do a little bit of cut and paste again. Looking later on down the Gemara, it says about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down from here. It says Vatnina. The first one line is Vatnina. Do you see that? So the unfortunately will say to move this up here. Vatnina we okay, maybe bikurim neitikun olam. It says the buyer brings bikurim midoraiso because they're rabbanan because tikun olam. V'yavi bikurim bring bikurim deoraiso. So, meaning, according to Meir, Stam Mishnah's right Meir, according to Rabbi Shimon, the guy's Kenyan obliterated the Chiv Bikurim. But according to Meir, the should be a Chiv Bikurim D'Oraisa, right? So going back now, Rabbi Zira Kum Re'avo B'Shem said, Avgar Meir Mar Ein Kenyan La'akum Be'eretz Yisrael Havkiu Mina Maisus, even though he holds going can't uproot the Chiv Maisus, we conclude, we do concede that property acquired while he owns it is his. What does it mean? On Rabbi Achilas Peiros, he has the rights over the fruit. So here, Gillian Ephraim and the Mashbiach both explained very beautifully. We're talking about it where in our Mishnah, where the Jew bought fruit which grew in a guy's field. There, midoraisa, there's no chibikurim even Meir. Because since the Jew only brought the fruit and not the land, so then avada there's no chibikurim. But nonetheless, as I made bnei tikun olam, they made him bring bikurim anyway. Why bnei tikun olam? So hopefully, if we make the Jews who are buying fruit from the land bring bikurim, eventually they'll come to buy back the land as a result. Okay, says the Gemara. Now we're really off topic, skipping down 2 lines, which are just cut and paste. This is if you buy, it's a fundamental issue. I think this isn't Bavli, but I don't think so actually. Kana said he bought a field when the Yovel was in effect. Rabbi Lamar Kana Karka says you bought the land. Bar Memel Amar Lo Kana Karka. You didn't buy the land. What's the difference? Mesa Rabbi Abba Bar Memel, Rabbi Bar Memel asked Rabbi Ila, Al Daitcha Dat Amar Kana Karka. According to you, said he bought the land Yachbor Boros Tichinim Oros. You should be able to dig holes, dugouts, and caves in land. It's interesting. You realize if you bought land when there was Yovel, you wouldn't be allowed to change the land.
Right.
You have to give it back as it was.
Right.
So the Gemara asks, according to Rabbi Ila, why? You own the land, you should be able to do what you want. Armlezi said it's special Gittin. Torah says, V'shav la'achuzah, so the guy returns to his portion during Yovel. Be'eno, as it was. So that's why now let's make changes there. Not because you don't own the land, you do own the land. Now the truth is they both forgot something. Then this is where the Bavli kicks in. I said Rabbi Yaakov Bar Acha Shmotza Kadmeon. Rabbi Yaakov Bar Acha brought the following shmu in front of them, which is, according to like Remeir is wont to point out, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Acha is about to quote Rish Lakish, but he's also going to quote Rabbi Yochanan here. This is your buddy, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, okay. So Rabbi Yaakov said, remember that. Rabbi Yaakov Bar Acha says, quoted this. They said, V'lo yada, they forgot, Inu Pligan, the same machlokas was already in machlokas Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. Whether, in the time when Yovel applied, whether the guy who buys land has to give it back, kana karka, or was not kana karka. What's the nafkamina? The following machlokas, famous machlokas. Rabbi Yochanan, somebody bought land during the time when the Yovel applies, and is only going to keep it till Yovel. Maybe he brings Bikurim, and he can read the parasha Bikurim. But what is in the parasha Bikurim which you should not be able to eat? Read Hadama Asher Nasat Li Hashem. It's not his Hadama, right? Because he has to give it back to the Yovel. But if you hold that you're that Kana Karka, then it's considered to be his land enough that he can read the parasha Bikurim. Shemelog Shemar Eno Mevi Korei. He doesn't bring a reed because he can't say Adoma Shenasatli because he holds the kinyan which a guy has on the land, which is going to go back to the is only kinyan Paris, not kinyan Guf. He owns the fruit, but not the land itself. I'm Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yossi, Kum Rabbi Yossi. Lezer, son of Rabbi Yossi, said in front of Yossi, Kol Amamay Dishu maybe. Everybody agrees that the Bikurim has got to bring. My plea in the Shiloh is whether Bikriya, whether you can read the parasha of Adoma Shenasatli. Rabbi Yochanan says he can. Hashem Elok Shamar Mevi Venakori says he cannot because he cannot say Adoma Shenasatli. Okay, I think we can stop here for this evening, and we'll pick up with the new parak tomorrow. The two guys, Rabbi Abba Memel and Rabbi Ila, they argued if Kana Yovel B'Shah, Kana Karka B'Shah. They didn't know this machlokas.
Rabbi Yaakov Bar Acha 2 blocks back or 4 blocks back said there is no machlokas for Rabbi Yaakov Rish Lakish. Because Rish Lakish was strictly on prices.
Good point.
He never just disagreed.
That's true. I don't know what he does with this attack. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Maybe there is a price. I guess there is a price.